Well, this is episode 8 for Superhero Showdown, and this is going to be a very opinionated show. Well, first off on the news is, I was looking online, and in June we have the release of Batman v Superman, the R-rated cut, and the R-rated cut, people have been up in the air. People have said some of this good, some of this bad. You're adding 30 minutes of footage to the film. Now, the movie was bad, like really bad, and my only thing is, you add 30 minutes of footage, how's it going to fix the film? There was a lot of issues with story, action, acting, especially Gal Gadot, Jesse Eisenberg weren't really that good. The brooding Superman shit. The movie's gonna be 3 hours now. Do I want to re-sit through Batman vs Superman just to see the 3-hour cut? I don't think so. I think that's one movie I don't want to sit through again. Because I'm one of those people that I was extremely disappointed going to that movie. Okay. The whole story for Batman vs Superman, one of the reasons I was really disappointed is that movie was pushed back a year. It was supposed to come out in 2014. It was supposed to come out. Okay. Pushed back a year. And then it really, before it even came out, it's like people didn't even know it was coming out. Nobody was excited for it. And once it came out, we're like, oh, this movie's gonna be awesome. And people hyped it up. And then it fizzled. It was a pretty lackluster movie. And now this 3-hour cut does not make me want to go and see it even more. I really could care less about seeing this movie. And that's just me. And I'm a big Batman fan. I love Batman. Batman wasn't the problem with this movie. There was a lot of issues with this movie. I thought there was going to be more with Alfred. I thought there was going to be more with the Batcave. I thought you could tell that it was supposed to go one direction and they went and turned it sideways. The other news I found out is that in July, at certain theaters, they will be playing The Killing Joke for one night only. The animated DC movie that's going to come out, where Mark Hamill will be coming back to the Batman series as a Joker. Kevin Conroy returns as Batman. And that should be really good. I'll probably go see that in theaters. I'm more excited for that than I am for the Batman vs Superman. So it's a really good story. I haven't watched the trailer yet. I'll probably watch the trailer probably today and see what it's like. Other news that came out was, first off, the Justice League. A lot of people in the movie universe went and got to be on set for the Justice League, bloggers, because they were trying to fix all the problems that the fans, because if you piss off the fans, then the fans won't come back for future installments. So they were trying to figure out what to do. So they invited a lot of people there to go on set and see what it was like. And I was listening to this to Collider Heroes, where they were talking about it, and talking about it seems like there's going to be not as brooding of a Batman. There's going to be a little bit more humor put into it, and they kind of, yes, Superman will be in there, but he will be in there later. And they showed them a scene with Batman and the Flash. There's a new Batmobile. It really really seems like they're going in the positive direction, trying to fix it. Jeff Johns really wants Justice League to be good, but no longer is it a two-part, but it's a self-contained story, which is probably why they're using Steppenwolf in there. So, a self-contained Justice League story, just called Justice League, to really set the bar. Well, they need to knock it out of the park like Avengers did. DC needs something because they haven't really had massive hits. In a lot of people's eyes, Green Lantern was a failure. A lot of people did not like Man of Steel. A lot of people did not like Batman vs. Superman. So they really need to set the bar pretty high. Granted, they do have Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad will be coming out in August. They released more posters for it, more trailers, going more in depth with the Joker, Harley Quinn. They've even released prequel comics saying where all these characters were before Suicide Squad, which I think is really good, because there's a lot of people that aren't going to know who, like El Diablo is, Captain Boomerang. I think the ones that are really going to be known are Harley Quinn and Killer Croc. Some people know Deadshot, some people won't. But I think Suicide Squad is going to be the saving grace. It's going to be a good movie. I don't know about Wonder Woman, but I think Justice League is really... Suicide Squad's really going to have to knock it out. Now, they did some reshoots, but every movie does reshoots for better audio, alternate scenes. That's how you get your deleted scenes for these DVDs. So, in all honesty, I think that's all going to be pretty good. Also, what's leaked is some more set photos for the upcoming Doctor Strange movie, which is set to have more of a horror element to it than an action element, because Doctor Strange is all about demons and all that. So I think that should be pretty good. There's been a lot of people coming out that are on set of Doctor Strange saying it was a good film. I'm really looking forward to how they present Stephen Strange, Baron Mordo. Are we going to see a little bit of Dormammu? How are they going to pull off the illusion and the switch into different realities? How are you going to be able to pull that off when it comes to that element? Because Doctor Strange is completely different than your Iron Mans, your Things, your Hulk, your Thor, all of that. Now, on more Marvel news, it was announced that Netflix next series, like not the next one, but the next one they've announced, Punisher will debut in November of 2017 with John Bernthal returning as the Punisher, which I think is really cool, because to me, they have untapped potential for Punisher, Blade, Ghost Rider. Those three you could really do something with. Blade would be good as a Netflix show, as would Ghost Rider. And Punisher, John Bernthal knocked it out of the park when he was in the Daredevil TV show. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm a huge Punisher fan. One of my favorite Marvel characters. So I think Punisher could really deliver in that aspect. But also in Marvel news, more information is coming out day by day as it regards to Spider-Man. Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, last week at E3, we got the PS4 Spider-Man game. It's just called Spider-Man PS4. I don't know if they're going to make an Xbox One game also, but what I do know is that game looks really good, and it makes me excited for Spider-Man, especially the new Spider-Man movie. There's been rumors like all over the place of what villains are actually in there. Is Michael Keaton going to play the villain, or is Michael Keaton going to be like J. Jonah Jameson? There was a actor that got cast, I don't know his name, but people may think that he might be Miles Morales in the new Spider-Man movie. But you're going to have Peter Parker in there. You got Tom Holland right there. You know you're going to have Harry Osborn in there. Well, we have a Norman Osborn. Some of the villains that I think would be really cool that people have brought up lately is Kraven, the Hunter. Shocker's name has been brought up. The Tinkerer. Scorpion is another name that's been brought up. Now, I'd like to see the Scorpion in there. Shocker's my favorite Spider-Man villain, but I would love to see Scorpion in there. I think a Matt Gargan could be really good. You have to... A lot of people did not like Amazing Spider-Man 2. I did not like Amazing Spider-Man 1. With Marvel involved, they need to hit it out of the park. You need a home run for Spider-Man to really make it mean something. Make it mean something again. Because Spider-Man was the cornerstone for Marvel for the longest time. You really just gotta show that Spider-Man is still the corner piece. Like, you could introduce Eddie Brock. Because if you introduce Eddie Brock, then like 2-3 movies in, you could turn him into Venom. But you need... The best thing to do is to introduce characters that you'll utilize later. Like Otto Octavius before he's Dr. Octopus. Kirk Connors before he's the Lizard. Norman Osborn before he's the Green Goblin. Wilson Fisk would be perfect to be in there. Because anybody that watched the animated series in the 90s knows that Kingpin was around for Spider-Man. Alistair Smythe you could put in there. There's a lot of cool characters to bring in there, and I love that the Marvel news has been coming out. Now, DC announced that Justice League stuff, but aside from that, people don't know much about the Sandman movie, if it's even still being done. There's the Teen Titans, we don't know. We do know that they have announced that because on the Blu-ray for The Killing Joke, when it comes out in July, is going to have a sneak peek at Justice League Dark, which is like all supernaturally, and you got Constantine, you got the Swamp Thing, you have Deadman, and I think Zatanna's in there too. You really need to bring all that out, which I think is something that needs to be done. And it's just, DC needs to get back on track. Fox this year did a little bit better. You had Deadpool, which was an amazing movie. I loved X-Men Apocalypse, but where are they going from there? Like, we know that Deadpool 2 is in the works, Fantastic Four 2 is in the works, and after the failure of the last one, they really need to do it right, because you've had 3 failed and then the one that no one really can watch. But it's just good, high quality stuff. All the studios are trying to bust out, and the fact that Namor is now back at Marvel, so that's good news too, because then you bring Namor into the Avengers, which I think would be really cool. And now on this episode, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to go back and look at superhero movies. I'll start doing this periodically, not every week, but every so often I'll bring up a superhero movie that I thought was either good or really bad. And what I'm going to do is, this year we had Captain America Civil War come out, so I'm going to talk about Captain America, and not the one recently. This movie came out in the 1980s. It was a made-for-TV movie, and it really was not that good. You had... Sorry, my phone's going on. You had Red Skull's mask. It was like a freaking bad rubber mask. They find Captain America on ice, and at one point, like, Captain America busts out of the back of a truck with a motorcycle. You see, in the 80s and 70s, Marvel tried to put out movies. They really tried to put out movies. Captain America just was one of those where the fight scenes were quirky. Wasn't that good? Because there was a Spider-Man TV show in the 1970s. There's the Incredible Hulk 1980s TV show. The only Marvel movies that did well was The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren, and then you had the Howard the Duck movie also. So, back to Captain America. Like, I watched this years later when it was on TV, and I'm like, wow, this is bad. This is really bad. I knew who Captain America was. I saw him in cartoons, I read the comic books. It will be years later when we got a real, true, good Captain America movie, which was awesome, with Chris Evans. Chris Evans, Hugo Weaving, Tommy Lee Jones. Perfect. I like that better than Iron Man. But the Captain America from the 80s, there was a sequel, The Return of the Captain America. I just think in the 80s, Marvel didn't know how to capitalize on really good movies yet. So that just, it didn't really sit right with a lot of fans at all. So that was my little take on that movie. But there hasn't been a lot of superhero news this week. But I am going to be releasing a Batman retrospective video coming up soon. It's going to be a multi-part. But what I'm going to do right now, give you my last topic I'm going to cover is I am going to cover Marvel versus DC fanboys. Now, all over Facebook and Twitter, there's always people that say, is Marvel better? Is DC better? Who cares? I'm not a Marvel guy. I'm not a DC guy. I'm a comic book guy. I love superheroes. I do. I love superheroes. Marvel, DC, does not matter. Batman, Punisher, Justice League, X-Men. It doesn't matter. A good comic is a good comic. A good superhero is a good superhero. A good villain is a good villain. It doesn't matter if you're the Joker, if you're the Red Skull, if you're Thanos, if you're Darkseid, if you're Apocalypse, if you're Lex Luthor. It does not matter. That's why I don't get why fans always try and pull you in a certain direction. I've been reading comics since 1990. I've been watching superhero cartoons since I was like 3 years old. So about 1988. I watch every superhero cartoon when it comes out. I watch all superhero movies. I'm very big into the superhero sphere. I play all the superhero video games. It's Marvel, DC, there's no difference. It's just superhero stuff. It's what's better. What's a better attraction to it? And now I want to talk about recently I started reading the Ninja Turtles comics, and not the new comics, but the black and white rugged comics. There's complete differences. The Turtles are more violent. They all wore the same color bandanas. They were very... April O'Neil was black in the comics. I didn't know that. Casey Jones ended up having a drug problem, and that was an issue that they talked about. The Turtles killed people. The Foot was originally just people, and they murdered and slaughtered them. Master Shredder originally killed Splinter's master. He assassinated him. He killed him. The black and white gritty tone was really cool, and I love the fact that I've gone back, I've read these comics, and I went through Comixology, which, cheap plug, but if you want to, go to Comixology, very good. If you want to find a way to read comics, but you don't have the money to go to Comixology, or to buy them online, or go to a comic book store, is you can go to your library. because in your library there's graphic novels all the time. That's how I get a lot of comics. Ninja Turtles, though, was very good. Now, I grew up with the cartoon, but the cartoon and the comics are different. Like, there's people called the Krangs, which are robotic people that have brains that are like Krang. Shredder's a fucking beast in that series. There is blood in there, too. And they don't do cowabunga, radical, they don't eat pizza, really. They're ninja assassins. And I think that's something that when they did the cartoon they wanted to stay away from. And it's been so long that I don't know if they could ever go back. Because only certain people of a certain age group will remember that. And the people that don't, when they get older, will probably read the comics and then be able to figure out there is a difference between them. The Ninja Turtle comics are really good, and that's something I want to start talking about on the show, is bringing up certain comics that I read that I think are really cool. So this is a shorter episode, but this is Superhero Showdown. This is episode 8. But coming up, I'm going to do a Batman retrospective where I'm going to talk about The Dark Knight. It's going to be a 5-part series, and it should be really good. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next time.